All right, we're live. Hey, y'all. We are back. We are back. We are back. Yes, look who I have with me today, guys. Effie is back. She's joining me. I am so excited about today's roundtable discussion.
Yes,
Before we get into it, let me just do a little introduction for we may have new people joining us today. So, for those of you who are new here, thank you for being in this space with us. I am LaShonda Walford. I'm the founder of this amazing All Bets on Me community. I have one of my sisters here with me today, Effie Robertson. Thank you, Effie, for joining. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so what we're doing today, guys, is I don't know if you guys remember, it's been a was it around December, Effie, when I put the question in the group and we went back and forth talking about forgiveness?
Yeah,
And so that question is what prompted this conversation. We feel that it's a much needed conversation because there is a lot of people struggling with forgiveness. And we're no different. We've experienced things that we struggle with forgiving. So we're here today to discuss the forgiveness, um, just as a whole. Like we're gonna tell you guys a little bit about what we think, what we've been through, what it means to us, and kind of try to give some insight on forgiveness. And I have another sister here. We're gonna add Latoya. Hey,
Hey, hey,
how are you?
hanging in there. How are you?
We're doing good. So
Hi,
we
Effie.
hey, honey, how are you?
Living the dream. Living the
Living the
dream.
dream. I hear you.
right. She busy. She popping in.
You see, I'm
That's
like,
that's right, but that's okay. Frances will be joining us, ladies. She had a meeting come up, so she actually won't be joining until 12:30. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. I've done the intro already. Latoya, yes, I have. So if you guys don't mind, just go ahead and introduce yourself. Effie, can you go first, please?
Sure. I am Effie Robertson. No, Lashonda, because well, actually, both of us, all of us are co-author sisters for the last few years and feel like this is a much needed conversation about forgiveness. And as Lashonda stated, is difficult. We've also been through it. And, you know, forgiveness is not as easy as people want to say. Sometimes we harbor and hold on to things and say we forgive a person, but actions show that we truly don't. So much needed conversation. So thank you for having this discussion. So
No problem at all. Thank you for accepting the invite, Latoya.
hello, everyone. I am Catherine Latoya Grant Austin, the Queen Treasurer. I am the CEO and co founder of Art Financial Solutions. I'm the Queen of the Austin Kingdom. I'm also a corporate executive and a number one Amazon bestselling author with my co author sisters here. Yes, today, I love it. And I'm just ecstatic to be back in the community and have this, like Effie said, much needed discussion. I think there is a misconception in regards to forgiveness. It is definitely a difficult journey, but I think that people also misconstrue that if you forgive someone, that you also need to be right back in the fold with them. That's not it, right? But the forgiveness is a journey because you can say you forgive someone and truly still harbor those feelings, and that is the process where you let go and you let God. And I'm just excited to have this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the discussion. I really just I want to start by saying, and you kind of touched on it already, Latoya, when you said that people had a misconception that if you forgive somebody, that you have to be best friends with him or like jump right back into the fold of what it was before. And that is definitely not the case. I want each one of us to kind of share a little bit, maybe like, and I know we have several things that has happened to us over our life that required the work of forgiving somebody for what they've done to us. So I'll start by just sharing a little bit of one of the things that I had to. This one was hard. Forgiveness. For me, for those of you who don't know, some people do, some people don't. I am the mother of a daughter of a child that was sexually abused as a young child. And the hurt and the rage that came from that, it is something that I still can't really describe even today. Um, and when people used to talk to me about forgiving the person that did that, I thought they were crazy, and I'm just like, I didn't want to. I did not want to. All I wanted to do was inflict equal amount of pain on him as he did to my child and me. Um, and yes, I was, I was in the church. I was already saved, but I didn't know what any of that was the minute I found out that this had been happening to my child. It's like everything that we know, everything that we've been taught, and everything that we practice, it, I didn't know where it was. Like it was left field somewhere, or I think I was left field somewhere. I did not know where any of that stuff was, and I didn't want to hear anybody say you need to forgive him, and all this other stuff that people say. I didn't want to hear any of that. So what I did was I just shut everybody out. I shut everybody out, and I was on this I mean, I was just almost on the verge of just having like a mental breakdown. Like seriously, all I could think about was how I could make his life a living hell on earth. And that's just being honest. Like I woke up with that on my mind. I went to sleep with it on my mind. It was so bad. It was to the point where I went to the sex offender registry and I printed off his face, and I printed that thing, and I had this tote in my car and I kept it. I always print it. I would go print um, over 100 copies at a time and just keep it in my car. So whenever I saw his truck somewhere, I would go post those things up so that everybody would know who he was. And I thought that was helping, but that wasn't helpful to me at all. It did not help at all. But that's just some of the things that happens when hurt and pain take over, right? Um, so like it wasn't until years later um, that I was actually able to get my mind back, like the mind that I had before this happened, and just kind of like get a grips on the situation. Um, and so once I accepted what had happened, and knowing that I couldn't go back and change it anyway with me doing all of this stuff and just driving around acting like an insane person, um, I was able to kind of open my mind, but it had to be my heart first. When I really opened up my heart to just want to forgive, because remember in the beginning I didn't want to. I didn't see the need to. I didn't care to forgive at all. I did not. All I wanted to do, like I said, was inflict the same or more pain on him that he caused for my child and in me. So that's what had to happen with me: acceptance, and then really wanting to forgive.
So can I ask a question?
Of course.
So if you see him now, and how are you? if you do see him now?
So I haven't seen him in a little while, but I saw him a few years ago, and I was fine. Before, every time I saw him, it's like rage just jumped in me all over again. And it's like I would see him even when I'm not trying to. Like I'm on the highway. For prime example, I was on 95. I promise you, and I wasn't thinking about it. And I just look over, and there he is driving right beside me on the highway, and I lost it. And it was like, yeah, I would lose it every time I saw him. It would start, and it was just like rage, and then it would go to the hurt, and then it was just this emotional roller coaster that I just could not get off of. So after that, I would see him, and then I actually felt sorry for him the last time I saw him. I felt sorry for him. I did not feel anger. I did not want to hurt him. I felt sorry for him because I don't even think he understands that you're out and you have your freedom, but you don't have your freedom. I don't even think he understands the magnitude of the punishment that he has coming for him that I can't give him, right?
Yeah.
I can't give it to him. And like he looks so miserable. He's discolored. And so it's like you're already getting punished, but you don't understand that. You don't understand what's happening to you. So I was fine last time I saw him.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. For me, and to be very transparent, one of my stories that I just uh, written in an anthology, and it was about forgiving someone who kidnapped me, beat me, raped me. This happened over a series of 4 days. And what led to that actually was our anthology that we as sisters did together because the visionary Tamara forced us to kind of dig deep into things to tell our stories. And when she did that, that was hard for me because my story that I told in itself about the loss of my child was hard. Um, but it caused other wounds to open up that I had not dealt with. And I found myself over the last few years, and I don't know if you all had noticed, but I kind of stepped back and stepped down because it was a matter of figuring out and figuring out addressing my pain, my inner pain, because I was allowing the pain that I was feeling, I was allowing to transcend to everybody else around me. And I was allowing myself not to um develop friendships and get close to people. I was pushing people away. And I really had to start addressing those things. And I'm really thankful for my husband because he gave me the space to do that, because I was a single mother for a long time. And, when you out there in the hustle of the day, you just got to hustle and live and make things happen. And you don't have time to worry about the emotional things. You don't, self-care is not important at that moment. And that had never been important. And when I was forced to sit back and look at those things and what was going on with me, then I started to forgive myself because I realized that I was blaming myself, that it was done because I wasn't good enough or I wasn't right or I had done something wrong. So first I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself and to give myself some grace. And then I had to start practicing forgiveness outward, you know, and not thinking that people need to be perfect or act like me, or I don't need to judge people on what they do because we all are different. We all are different. But sit back and say, okay, now what value do they have in my life? If I do forgive them, do I need to have them in my life? And if I don't, how does it affect my life? I just asked myself a series of questions, kind of went through all of those things. And when I started telling my story, it's funny, my husband was like, "You truly forgive him?" I said, "I truly, truly forgive him. I forgive him for what he's done to me." Because I feel like, I used to always, like you, LaShonda, "Oh, I'm going to make your life a living hell. Once I see you, I will do this or do that." But you know what? God always had my back. God took care of that. God truly took care of, God made him pay for what he did to me and everybody else, or anybody else, what he did to. So, but it was at that moment of our book that I started to teach myself forgiveness. And I started, and I had to start with forgiving myself first. And that's where we need to start first, is forgiving ourselves. I think too many times we are so hard on ourselves, and we don't forgive ourselves, especially with social media now. Everything is in social media. If you're not skinny enough, if you don't look good enough, or if you're not making 6 figures or 7 figures like everybody's stating, you come down on yourself, and you're not good enough, and then you have self-hatred, anxiety, leads to depression, and all kinds of other things. And that's literally where we need to start, is forgiving ourselves. So that's my story.
Yeah, that's good, and I'm glad you mentioned forgiving yourself, because that was hard, and that was something that I had to do because, you know, as a mom, I felt like the one, we have a lot of responsibilities when it comes to our children, but the one that should come very easy, I felt like I failed, and that is protecting my child, right? So yeah, that forgiveness for myself, that that was something that I had to do, and it was hard. That one I feel was harder than forgiving him for doing what he did. Yeah, for me that one was harder. So yeah, thank you for sharing, Effie, and I definitely agree with everything that you said. So we are going to let Catherine share her experience, and then we're going to let Frances. Hey, Frances. Frances has joined. She's going to introduce herself and share her experience.
So for me, and I don't think I've told this story publicly. I'm in the process of writing about it now, but I'm going to talk about needing to forgive the same person multiple times, right? So you forgive once, and then you set up your boundaries on wherever you are with that person, right? You don't engage with them if that's what you choose to do, or you just hold them at a distance of some sort. It's very rare that you forgive someone who has deeply hurt you and then let them back in, and then you need to forgive them again. And for me, my journey of forgiveness, I mean, forgiveness is all over, right? You have to forgive if you're married, your spouse, they done did something piss you off. You gotta, woosah, forgive them. You gotta forgive friendships, right? Because just as humans, we don't meet expectations of other people. And so there is a level of forgiveness. But for me, my journey is with my mother. And so my mom, unfortunately, is on she just has her own struggles of addiction. And in her addiction, she does things that, for me, as a person not in an addiction, right, very hurtful. And so when I was younger, there were so many things that she would do. And as I got older, I became angry, right? Because the things that she would do, and just the fact of not even talking about the stuff that she did, let's just talking about abandonment, right? I had to forgive her for what I felt was her leaving me, her not loving me enough, right? So that whole journey, as you all have mentioned, comes with anger, it comes with confusion, It comes with sadness, right? Depending on whatever day you go through a range of emotions. And so I got to a point where I truly did forgive. And, I was okay from what I thought. I was okay with what had happened in the past. And I felt as though I truly have forgiven, right? And you feel like when you forgive, you don't bring things up. You're not throwing anything in anybody's face. You just moved on, like it happened. It's back there. We're gonna move on, and so forth. But we ended up in a position where she took something out of my house, and this was years later as an adult, and I went into a full blown rage. And when I say a full blown rage, I'm gonna own my stuff, literally pulling out a gun, literally going like beyond a rage to the point where I was compromising myself, our home, right, our future. But I was such in a rage because in my mind, I had forgiven you for everything that I felt you did, only for you to do it again. And so the process of forgiving multiple times is difficult because if you forget, there's a saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So when you're looking at someone and you need to forgive them for a second time or for a third time, it becomes very difficult to practice that forgiveness. And it's a journey. It's a journey, but I truly do forgive. I truly do forgive. And it took me a long time. I didn't speak to her for a very long time. I wish things that I would never wish on anybody else. I would never wish, but I was in such a place, like you said, of anger and rage and hurt and sadness that's what I knew. In the process of forgiving, and this is where, we talk, forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean like we just back where we at. No, 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 no. I need to forgive you for me. I was trapped in a space where I was depressed. I was trapped in a space where I felt like I had put a wall up. I didn't want to hurt. I was back in what I would call survival mode. And I realized, no, 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 no. I need to forgive her again so that I can be okay. And so it's very difficult because, like I said, forgiveness in itself is hard, but literally to forgive the same person over and over and over again, it's more difficult, right? But it truly is a journey. It's not something that happens over a day. You have trigger points, right, where you might think you're okay. Something happens and you be like, oh, wait a minute. The gloves is back on, right? But it truly is a journey, but it's worth it because if you don't forgive, you're holding yourself hostage. And not only did I have to forgive her, I had to forgive me because what my husband said to me made me feel so guilty. The king said, you were going to put us in a situation where your kids had to do things that you had to do. They would have to go and see you in jail. How do you think that would feel? And then there was a level of guilt that overcame me because I was like, OMG, how could I let myself get so entangled in my emotions that I didn't think about them? So LaShawna, you hit on that about the guilt of just not putting your children first in a moment, but we're humans. And so then I had to forgive myself because I truly was like, I would have done something that I said I would never do. And they would have had to live an experience that I promised myself that they would never have to live. And so that was very hurtful. I had to forgive myself as well.
So it sounds like your husband gave you the aha moment, um, where it was with me, my daughter gave me the aha moment, um, because she knew me so well. And I always thought that I tried to contain myself while I was around her, but she knew me and she knows me so well. And so she was not even a teenager yet, or well, maybe just had gotten to be a teenager. And she looked at me. eyeball to eyeball, and she said, "Mommy," she said, "you can't go do nothing crazy." She said, "I already lost one parent. I don't need to lose you." And she said, "Yes, grandma and granddad." And at that time, my husband, now she called him Mr. Travis. She didn't call him dad like she does now. She said, "Yes, grandma and granddad and Mr. Travis and auntie will make sure I'm good." She said, "But I need you." And I was just like, what could I say? She was right. And so that was another thing that, made me be like, okay, you really need to get yourself together and try to get a grips on this whole thing, right? Because the last thing I wanted her to do, like she said, was lose another parent. Because her dad was shot earlier on and he had already passed. And so I would be physically here on earth, but not able to touch her had I done what I had in my mind to do. I'd have been locked away for life.
Right.
So it's good to have people around us that can understand our pain, but yet give us those moments, those aha, like, and tell us what it is for real, and kind of wake us up. It's almost like she was shaking me without touching me.
That part.
Yeah,
That part. What I will say is he gave me the aha moment, but it took him
yeah,
4 years to talk to her.
yeah,
It
yeah.
took him 4 years to forgive enough to talk to her. So you understand what I mean? Like, it
Hmm.
was a whole process. He was very rational in the moment,
Right,
but
right.
it took him longer because, and I don't know how long it took your daughter, but that's another journey of forgiveness, right? And it's not on our time. Just because I'm okay doesn't mean you're okay, because they lived the experience.
Right, right, right. Francis, can you chime in with us, please? Like, introduce
Yes.
yourself.
I'm
And
Francis for everyone that's looking. Hey, y'all. I'm excited to be here with my
hey,
co-author sisters. Can
I
y'all hear
know,
me
right?
now?
We can hear you.
Well, I basically can relate to everything that has been said. I think for me, well, let me introduce myself. I'm an author. I'm a life coach. I'm a TEDx speaker. All that other good stuff. But I do want to just jump right into the topic. Like, I can relate to what all of you, all you guys were saying. I done had to forgive multiple times, over and over again. And I think what the biggest thing for me that stands out is when you think you have forgave, but you really didn't. That was the issue for me. So I really thought that this was for me in all transparency. I thought that I was forgiving when I could just let you do what you wanted to do to me and not have a conversation about it. So basically, I was kind of suppressing my emotions, and I felt, because I suppressed my emotions and not tell you what I'm dealing with or how I feel, because I'm letting it go and being what you say humble or meek. I don't forgave you for how you treated me. But really, what I was doing was building up a wall, a silent grudge, where I could still deal with you in a way, but I had that silent grudge. You get what I mean? When you got that self-control with your emotions, you're not gonna go do nothing crazy, but I'm not feeling you in my face right now. That's kind of like what it was. So you can be fooled in thinking that you have forgave someone, because you're also not just suppressing your emotions, you're suppressing the forgiveness part too. And that's what I was missing. I never wanted to be the one to act crazy, because I always used to feel like, well, if how they treated me or what they did, if they was controlling me or being abusive, I didn't want to operate from that same way. To me, I was like, I'm not going to operate like you. I'm gonna let God handle it or whatever. But God couldn't even deal with me healing. You get what I'm saying? So I kept attracting people doing the same thing to me, because I had never forgave the first time to deal with what had happened. So I really had to start dealing with me. And I just went through something recently where I had to forgive. And I really thought I had forgave, because I was just like, I'm good. I'm good. I felt like I had to, in a sense, put on a persona that you're not bothering me, even though I know you bothering me. And that wasn't forgiven. A conversation needed to be had, and with the conversation was had, and sometimes forgiving is just in your conversation. You don't have to hear them say I'm sorry, but if you can just if you are the one who suppresses your emotions and feel like you can't express yourself, if you have a conversation, sometimes just by you telling what I don't like, what you did, this is what happened, you're in the process of releasing, which is sending forgiveness, because you just needed to release that off of you. So I realized that it's okay if you don't know really how to just say I forgive somebody. Release your pain. Find someone to release it to. Find a therapist, find a friend, but if you really, sometimes the way to release it is to talk to the person that has caused the offense. That's like, I know that's going to, because I was dealing with probably trying to have, how you have someone you can go to talk to, but I was bottling bottling it up. And that's what you don't want to do, because you just let stuff build up and it just all come out at the same time. And you got emotions going everywhere. You can't forgive nobody because you can't even think at that moment. So, that was one of the biggest things for me, was having to learn how to have a conversation. And one of the other things I dealt with forgiving is I had to forgive myself for keep putting myself in situations. So I had to hold myself accountable in a sense, because I felt like I could forgive you and let you back in. That was my issue. And I had to stop that. I came to a reality and I had to really deal with me that I love you and I forgive you. And because I got peace that I know I'm no longer connected with you, don't mean that I haven't forgiven you. Because people will try to manipulate you into thinking that because you don't want to deal or let them enter back into your life, that you ain't really forgave me. I have a peace. When you have forgave someone, it's not that wall. It ain't you putting on a facade. You ain't trying to hide nothing. You ain't this way that minute, that way this minute. You have peace, right? You really have a peace. So you can't let them make you feel because you are not back into my life again, I haven't forgiven you. No. You're not gonna make me. I have peace. And it's okay to have peace and not reconnect with someone. And that was one of my main things when I was trying to forgive. I would forgive them, let them back in. And then I got to forgive you again. In reality, I was like, I just need to go ahead and forgive me for keep taking this stuff, because I keep attracting the same people. It's not them. It's something in here that needs to be fixed. So I began to start working on me and begin to ask God, say, heal those parts that I don't see, because we'll think we are over insecurity. We'll think we're over a rejection area. We'll think that we're over here, but it's really not healed, but we can't really see it. What's there. And sometimes it's not our job just to figure out what the root is. Sometimes it's just say, God, you know what the root is. I need for you to heal this thing so I can stop attracting certain people where I don't have to keep forgiving the same type of person. Now, don't get me wrong. You're going to forgive people. This thing of life, people are going to do you wrong. They're going to say things where you're going to constantly have to forgive. That's just it. But when you see a pattern of the same type of people that you have to forgive, sometimes it's something you're dealing with internally. And so I stand here today and I don't want to point the fingers. I want to point a right at me today, that I had to deal with the inside of me to be able to learn that I can have a conversation, release it. I have a right to my feelings. I have a right to feel the way I feel, even though you don't think I felt that way. Even though what I told you did, if you think you didn't do that, it still doesn't decide the fact that I felt the way I felt. I still felt the way I felt, because that's part of gaining and building the foundation to forgiving. You got to accept the reality of everything. So you can't make me think that my feelings was wrong. I have feelings. That was the way I was supposed to feel. And, and then release it. Feel the way you feel, but then after that, you got to let it go, release it, move on. And if you have to disconnect to heal, you have to do what you have to do for you, because you can't keep putting yourself in a place where you can't heal because you're worried about, do they really think I forgave them? Are people thinking I didn't forgive them? Are they thinking I still got a grudge because I won't be around them? No. Forgiveness is what they said. It's literally for real about you. We'll say it's about us getting free, but when you put it in the whole scenario, it's literally about you. So think about your thoughts. It's I don't want to say like trying to say it's a selfish thing, but if you're going to hold yourself bound and you're going to be bound and by certain things, you have to really take in consideration, I got to do this for me. Even if what you probably did wasn't that bad, I just don't have the insight or the inner feeling to deal with what you did yet. This for me. This is my process. So I got to do this because this is my way of forgiving. So just be open and open to how you heal, because that's the only way you can forgive. Release, disconnect if you have to, and don't feel guilty for how you forgive others. And that was my whole process about forgiving.
Did you preach a sermon or did you preach a sermon?
I know that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, okay.
I want to go on the heels of something that you said, because I think that you hit on two things that people don't think about. And they get caught up in this journey of forgiveness. So the first thing is when you are in a space where someone can control your emotions, right? And so you kind of touched on that, right? But you know that you haven't forgiven whoever or whatever, because every time you enter that space, it alters what I feel. It alters what I do. It alters how I move, right? And so people need to really think about, and this is why forgiveness is for you and not the other person, because if you can alter my whole energy, my whole demeanor, and everything that I got going on, then guess what? You have a level of control over me that only God should have. Only God should have. And that's why you have to go on that journey. So that was the first thing that I wanted to say. But then the second thing, because you hit on it again, Dr. Francis, is guess what? You might not get closure. You may not be able to have that conversation. I may not get you to admit that you wronged me. You still need to move on. You still need to move on with the forgiveness. A lot of times forgiveness is attached to the closure. It's attached to the person admitting they wronged you. It's attached to the satisfaction to say, yes, I'm not crazy. This did happen, right? But a lot of times people don't get it. And so they go in this circle. They go in this circle of just self-harm, right? Or just trying to get that out of someone and not understanding that they're not progressing because they're allowing their journey to be dependent on something they may never get. So at that point, if you find yourself at that point on a forgiveness journey, again, going back to, you need to do it for you. Don't just say, oh, well, I'm good. And no. Literally do the work that is required to forgive, regardless of control or not, because you just may never get that closure that you want. And I'm not going to say need, because you don't need the closure to move on. You really don't, right? It is a difficult process, but you may never receive that closure that you want, and you still have to go on that journey.
I totally agree with that. Because sometimes, I know with my father, it's aspects of him not being there and things he's done that I don't forgive, and I'm trying, and I think I was trying to attach that to, can you admit it? Can you say it? Can you tell me you wronged? Can you say you weren't there? Can you say that this is what you did? Let's go through the steps. And I finally realized, he may never say that. But we have had the conversation where I've had a chance to express how I feel. And so that has helped me move forward in our relationship. Because for me, I had to make a decision. Again, was it important for him to be in my life or not in my life? And it was important. So I said, okay, at least let's have a conversation, with the thought that you will not admit anything. You will not give me the closure that I'm looking for, most likely. But let's have the conversation, because I'm entitled to my feelings. Just like Dr. Francis said, I'm entitled to my feelings, whether you agree with them or not. but let's have the conversation and then let's decide where we move from there. But I also want to say this too, because I think, and I want to say this because I know that I'm guilty of this. I think a lot of times when people wrong us as well, that we are quick to dismiss them and get rid of them.
My cutoff game is strong. Y'all
So,
don't. Oh, okay, we're good. My
yeah,
favorite thing, I'm good. If I say that, everybody knows. Oh, she all set. Oh, I'm good. I'm to the good. That's how I say it if it's real good. I'm to the good.
I'm good.
That cutoff game is so real.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
real.
We are quick to do that, and I know that this these beautiful ladies in this panel is not about just dismissing people. And so I do want to make that known to all the listeners out there that we are not telling you to dismiss people, because we are all individuals. And if we were all the same, it would be a boring world, right? I don't want everybody to be Effie or you, Dr. Francis, LaShonda, or Latanya. Latoya. We don't want that. We want different individuals. And sometimes we have to sit there and get, used to them and accept things that they do, because sometimes things that they do are not necessarily wronged for us. You understand what I'm saying? They're not trying to wrong us. They just have a different value system, different morals, or they think about it differently. Or sometimes if they have done things to you, they may not even know that offended you. So I think it's important, just like you guys stated, to have that conversation, because we can't, I think now we have to stop dismissing people. We are just causing that isolation among ourselves and that division in the world, because we are good. I'm good. I'm good. Now, I'm not saying that if someone is repeatedly doing the same offenses that you know, you keep accepting that, because that's abuse. So we don't want to accept that. But if someone has done something to you, try to have a conversation with them. Try to have a conversation with. And I do regret that, because I have been very good, because I'm not going to say now. This is Effie now. I have been very good with, I'm done, and walk away, and that's it. And I know myself that I have stopped that now, and let's have a conversation. So I have grown from that. I'm telling you guys, truly, truly, these last few years have been about growth for me. Truly growth for me, and I even debated whether or not I was going to come on this panel, because a few weeks ago, I had my sister tell me, you'll be dead by the time you're 50, which is December 17th for this year. I'll be 50. So that hurt me deep, because you all know that last year I was on a ventilator for 10 days, fighting for my life, struggling. And for her to tell me that, and so I struggled, because you talking about angry, I was full blown angry and said all kinds of things, and weeks later, it's, but I've forgiven her for so many things, time after time after time. And now it's like, okay, what approach do I need to take now? What approach do I need to take? So I don't know. So I would love to have you guys feedback on that, because that is truly a situation, in all transparency, that I am dealing with now, because that is my sister. That is my sister.
So I want to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, LaShonda.
No, you can go ahead. I'm not going to forget.
This. And so with my personal situation that I shared, what I had to realize was that actions were never about me. A lot of time when you are in a position where someone you feel has wronged you, right? Again, the conversation is so important, because sometimes it's just a misunderstanding, right? It can very well be you did something or you said something and I interpreted it this way, but you meant it that way. And now, we got a whole situation that really just a conversation can clear up, right? And sometimes it is intentional. But I'll always say this: hurt people hurt people. So a lot of times the actions are not about you. You're just on the end point of it. The action is truly with the person who is offending, right? The person who is the offender, and they're basically dealing with something, and you're getting the outlash of whatever is going on with them inward. And so for me, I do try. My cutoff game is real, right? Especially, and here's the thing: I'm older now, so I will have a conversation. Let me be clear. I felt like you said this, and it made me feel this. This is an opportunity to clear the air. You can confirm or you can deny, right? And we can have a discussion. But I also have grown to understand, if you hurt me, if you say something to me, right? I've had people say stuff behind my back, and I'm just like, wait a minute, that's not even a reflection of me, right? But understanding the source. Oh, okay, such and such said it. Oh, they're going through something. They'll be all right. I don't even need to clap back. I don't even need to clap back, because at this point, the action is because of the person, and I'm just on the receiving end. I'm another person flying in the wind that's going to get the end portion of whatever you're going through. So a lot of times we just have to take that into consideration, right? And I know apology doesn't fix everything, and it won't, but understand what it is that you feel. You have every right to feel how you feel, but the statement, was it really about you? Was it really about you, or was it that they're going through something and they're just lashing out, and you just happen to be the person that day at that time? And if so, then try to detach the personal feelings, even though it's hard. It's going to hurt because it was said to you about you, right? It's going to hurt, but just consider the source and try to detach the personal feelings and just say, okay, God will deal with them. That's where I'm at now. God got it. Karma is something else. So God got it, and okay.
Yes. So Latoya said different wording, but you went exactly where I was going. I have no doubt. I wrote down here because I didn't want to forget. What is the root of her issue? That's what I got when you said that. It's not you, it's her. And like Latoya said, you're just getting the backlash of whatever is going on with her. So now this is the time where we really have to extend the same grace that God continuously extends to us, right? Because I
Right.
know I done messed up a plenty of times, but He still grants me grace, right? Now, even though we're going to exercise and grant that grace that God gives us, you still kind of have to proceed with caution. You have to decide at this point what that looks like for you. Like, so, you can't get around having a conversation about it, right?
Right.
Because we all know that, you was on a vent last year fighting for your life. Your sister know that if we know that, right? And so she has to be in a painful place herself to even say that to you, knowing what you just came out of, right? So this is one of those things you're going to have to decide how to proceed, but just make sure you extend grace when you're deciding how to proceed with her and while you're dealing with her. It may be one of those things where you have a conversation and y'all just need some space for a little while, or like try to help her deal with what her root issue is, because she's got some things in her that sounds like deep hurt. I could never ever, my sister was not on a vent last year, but I could never look at my sister and say, you're going to be dead by the time you're 50. I could never do that. Not from a place of wholeness, but I can from a place of pain and jealousy and envy. Those type of things drive people to do things like that and say things that's hurtful to people that that they love. Um, yeah, that hurt my feelings just to know that she said that, and y'all know how I am. I was over here trying to stop them before they started. Um, but yeah, I think that's that's the way I would approach it. So, Francis, can you chime in on that?
Yeah, I
Doc-
think this is a little bit. I just kind of want y'all feedback because it's like a thin line. It's really like you really need to ask God for direction and help when it comes to when you say extending the grace, and then people feeling like they could just do you how they want to do you because they can say I ain't healed yet. Do I still stay there and deal with that? Do I still keep extending you grace? You get what I'm saying? Like, does grace have an expiration period? Even in God, I mean, at a certain time of period, people cannot no longer, you cannot be their puppet and they manipulate and have you under a form of witchcraft. That's
let,
that's
yeah,
that's you know what I'm saying?
let me clarify something right quick.
Yeah.
When I say extend grace,
Uh-huh.
I don't mean extend grace and be a doormat, a floor mat for
That's
them to
it. Come
continue
on.
to walk
Let
on
them
me.
know. That's
That's
right.
not what I mean when I say extend grace.
Help the
But
people.
when I say extend grace, that means that I'm going to extend this to you, and this is why I went back and said you determine how you want to proceed with them, right?
Right.
Meaning, I'm not going to treat you ugly, and I'm not going to do that with you, but I can step back from you.
That's right.
I can step back from you. I can enter a room with you and say hello, how you doing, and really mean that. But are we gonna go over here and make plans to go out and no?
Right. And see, I
And when
think
you need me, you can, and I'll be right there when you need me.
that's
But I'm
good.
not gonna be that for you every day for you to continue to walk over me,
That's
walk on
good.
me.
That's good. And see, I'm glad that you broke that down like that because I was that person who, what you can say is when I wanted to go a little bit to what Effie was saying is when you don't have boundaries. That's what it all comes down to. Not having the like it's okay. Now you don't want the walls because then the walls is something different, but it's okay to establish those healthy boundaries for you. Right. And so that was good, Lashana, how you was just saying, having those boundaries and when the offender and all that when they can't cross those boundaries, you don't have to have the cutoff game. They're gonna cut themselves off
They
because
cut themselves off. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that is what's
yeah,
happening because of my own personal growth. People are cutting
yeah,
themselves off, and you
yeah,
learn
that's
you don't
good.
even have to cut people off because you develop those boundaries, and you don't allow people to treat you the way they used to because it was wrong, and it's hurtful when you try to be so good to an individual, and then they treat you like crap. And it's over and over, and you supposed, like you say, when does it end? Like, why should I be the puppet, or get the backlash of you never growing up or never growing or never getting better or you never doing people right? Why should I be the one that always have the backlash of that? And I don't, I don't think that's right either. So, and this is all I want to just all be, transparent in all avenues of forgiveness here, because I don't want anyone to again think that forgiveness, oh, you just forgive, walk on, and then we good.
It's
Nah, it's not that easy. It is not
No,
that easy.
And see,
You'll have
no.
those thoughts. You'll have those thoughts of what happened. It'll come back up. You'll shed some
Yeah.
tears. You'll go right back to that place she was trying to get out of. I think even when the process of forgiving, you should have a strong accountability partner to keep you in check because sometimes when those feelings come back up, you can slowly slip right back into unforgiveness because it's like I was good and I had let it go, but you had to do me like that. No, I'm weak. I ain't letting you get by with that. I'm not gonna let it. You are slowly entertaining the thoughts in your mind.
mhm.
You will slowly go right back to that. But if you have that strong accountability person that just keep reminding you, like you were saying, Lashana, and it all goes to like those necessary steps before you extending grace because y'all done had a conversation. Sometimes it's like a level to it, to come find out whether like I'm going to extend this grace to you because we done both, and then you just gotta extend grace like let's Catherine was saying, even if they don't say nothing,
You can say
sometimes.
Latoya. It's all good. I
Yeah,
know it
Latoya,
rolls right off.
I know it all came out of the same.
So go ahead. It's all good. I need the Catherine for the other folks. Some people. Go ahead and let it roll off, sis. It's all good.
Yeah. So I mean, I think this is good. It's just different avenues and different ways and different approaches to just going about, forgiving people, having a conversation, or moving on without the closure, detaching yourself, establishing boundaries, extending grace. It's just so many avenues, but you just find the one that works best for you on your journey of trying to heal and forgive and really let it go.
So I wanna, and Tangi hit on it, but I want to say this because I want everybody to be clear. Grace does not equal boundaries.
Come
Right.
on.
Grace
Right.
does not equal
Right.
boundaries. When we say extend somebody grace, that doesn't mean that you
Right.
don't set a boundary. So let's
Right.
be clear. Grace does not equal boundaries. What grace
Right.
means is instead of cussing you out, I'm gonna pray for you.
That's right.
I'm gonna
Right.
pray for you, even though I'm pissed off and
Right.
I know that I could square up with you. I'm gonna pray for you. So
Right.
if you all recall, remember our co-author sister Cherry's story,
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
to pray for the
Yeah.
very people that called
Yeah.
her names and wronged her.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's
Right.
great.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure,
That's
because
good.
I don't want people to feel like, oh well, if I like you
Right.
said, Dr. Francis, Effie, we're all saying the same thing, but grace does not mean that there are no boundaries. They are not the same thing. I can extend you grace. I can pray for you because that's what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
Now, it might be a silent prayer, it might be 2 words because that's all I got today. But
Right.
but that's what I'm supposed to do. That's grace. But boundary, I don't need to let you in. I don't even need to speak to you. That's the boundary. That doesn't mean I'm angry, like you said. I might have a level of peace that's what needs to work for me. But they're not the same. And when you're on this journey, just ensure that you remember that. And then there was also something, I think it was Effie. I don't know. Somebody said that people, like when they will basically propel themselves from you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I love, this is energy. Now, that's my thing. I love the energy that I set around myself, the energy that I set in my household, the energy more so my husband carries, like his energy level positive is just on a different level. I'm getting there though, right? And when you have that level of energy, anyone who has negative energy, they don't want to be around you. You're not fun. You're not fun. I'm not
Yep.
sitting there gossiping with you. You're not fun. No,
Yep.
hey, it's all love over here. You get what I mean? And so when you are dealing with someone in that negative space, because again, the action is always on the person. It's what they're going through, and you are the end point, right? You're just getting whatever they're offering that day from how they're feeling. But as you start to surround yourself with this energy, you won't attract those type of people. And if they are people who are in your circle, in your family, call themselves your friends or whatever, they will slowly trickle off. They will, because they can't deal with that energy that you're displaying because it's not sitting right in their spirit. And so it's very important that as you go on a forgiveness journey, a healing journey, whatever journey, right? Because life is just a journey, period. That and you're growing, that you understand the concept of you're going to surround yourself by like-minded people simply because of the energy that you carry. And like Dr. Francis said, if you are not carrying the right energy and you're attracting the same people, then you got to look in the mirror. You got to look in the mirror, and at that point, grant yourself some grace.
Yes.
Grant yourself some grace, because it's all part of this journey. It's important.
Yeah.
That's good.
That is so good. This entire conversation has been really good. I feel like it was much needed. I pray that we was able to help some people and give some clarity on some things. I want to go to the comment section, y'all, because I've been so into the conversation. I ain't looked at one comment. I'm so sorry.
And the comments are everywhere. So let me just, I don't know if y'all heard, my thing is dinging, boom, 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 boom. Because Facebook has comments, the chat here has comments. There's like the comments are coming all over.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and I have been neglecting the comments. So, are you checking, Latoya? Where are you checking?
So I'm checking and I'm commenting back. I did highlight some good ones. So Tangi said, "Rub, demand respect, create understanding, and set boundaries."
Yeah,
Absolutely, Tangi. Yep,
I like that.
yep.
We had another Facebook user that, and to this Facebook user, thank you very much. This was a comment to us, and I
Thank you
just
so
wanted to
much.
say thank you so much. Publicly say thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And that was the purpose, to help people and
Yes.
just kind of try to help people break free from this thing that's keeping them bound.
Yeah. And Latoya, I want to thank you for sharing about the grace and boundaries, because that did something with me. Like, because people, when you, it's always, this just in general, sometimes when you want to do for, what's best for you, or you want to have self-care, people will make you feel guilty for for what you want to do. But when you like, look, I did my part in God eyes. I maintained that self-control. I didn't cuss you out. I didn't go gossip about you. I didn't go try to sling your character. I just stepped away for a minute. This for me, because I can't let and you got to be okay with that. And that was good. I just wanted to reiterate that, because that's processing with me. I can extend you grace, and I can still have my boundary, and it's okay.
And it's all good.
And it's
okay.
okay. Right. It's okay. Exactly.
And I'm gonna bring it back to this group. All bets on me. What I feel, how I feel, what I need when I need it. All bets on me. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It has to start with yourself for you to extend anything outward. It has to start within.
Exactly.
Always.
Yep. And you can't be afraid to put in the work, right? You can't just say you want to forgive and then are not willing to do the work. It's work. It's hard work. It's not going to be easy, but it's worth it, because it's freeing. Like it does something for you, for your soul, for your heart, your mind, your body, and your spirit. Like it's such a freeing experience when you truly forgive. Um, that's the only way I can put it. That's what I felt. And so I just thank you guys so much for coming on and being willing to come on and talk about this and just be open, transparent, and share, some of the things that you've gone through that caused you to have to do the work, and, caused you to have to continuously practice forgiving. Because it's not just like one time thing, it's continuous. Like Dr. Bailey said, you're going to find yourself in situations where you will have to forgive all the time. It's just part of life. You just have to be willing to do the work to get to that end goal, which is forgiveness, which is ultimately freedom within yourself and peace. Right?
Yes.
So, do you guys have any last minute like comments? What do you want to leave the community with?
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Let's do part two.
Based on all the comments we get.
Why not?
Yeah.
So, I think that, and Lashana, you said this, we as women, we need to share more. We need to share more, right? And so we come on here, we're transparent or whatnot. We've all gone through a journey together where we wrote a piece of our story. And as the visionary author Tamara Mitchell Davis would say, you need to tell your story so nobody else tell you. You got to tell it in your own words, right? With your own emotions before somebody else tries to do it. Right. And so part of that journey is just to be open and transparent. Right? We hold so much in, but I'm pretty sure that this conversation was freeing for somebody. It was freeing for somebody. And so we do need to have these dialogues more often. Just be open and transparent. People look and They think about the hats that you wear, the titles, and what you do, and they feel like, OMG, like they're perfect. Far from it.
Far
Far
from it.
from
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Say
Right.
it
No.
again.
And so
Right.
I think,
Oh,
like, yeah, like I'm all the way up here.
Right.
But
Right.
we just,
Right.
I think the dialogue and continuing to have these really open discussions will be beneficial for not only women, families, kingdoms, like all
Yeah.
across. And it's just
Yeah.
important. And that's
It's,
all I wanted to say. That's it.
yeah. I think it's very important to have these conversations. Again, social media out there, it portrays your life like everything is perfect, and that you don't go through stages of life. And like we've stated, life is a journey, and it's not a process. It's not a one and done. Every day is something new, and just like Miss USA Chelsea, hope she, rest in peace. But you go back and you look on her social media, and it looks like her life was just perfect and didn't know what she was, struggling with. And I think too many times, social media lets that out there, and that's what our children are watching. That's what they're getting, and they're forgetting the connections that we need to have as humans. The connections. That's what we're missing. And so we need to get back to that. And that is about forgiving each other and having those conversations, but also having those boundaries with people, and doing those type of things. So thank you, Lashonda, for setting this up, and I look forward to the next time.
No problem. Thank you for accepting the invite. Dr. Bailey, you got any closing remarks?
no, this was good. This was good.
Good.
I mean,
Very good.
this was real good from all different perspectives. It was really, really good. I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
I gained some
Well,
things from my journey.
I
Or
know,
We
continue.
all
right?
did. We all did.
Yes.
I'm like that.
Right.
Like, if I cut off game still, yeah, it is.
Still here.
I pray for you, but it's after I say I'm to the good. So I'm like, get
Right.
it together, girl. Get it together.
I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better. I've gotten better. I've gotten better.
You had a, you
It's
had
a
a cut
journey.
you had a cutoff game, and see, I was the one on the other side that's like, I don't know when to put the boundaries up. You get what I'm saying? I need to put them up, and you like, boundary here. Bye.
Right. Right.
Listen, let me be
And it's
real clear. It wasn't 5 fingers, it was only one. And you know which one it was. Like strong. Oh, I'm
Right.
off.
And
Right.
it's funny
Right.
because all of us behind the scenes have like privately talked about some of these struggles and issues that
Right.
we've had. Like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But but that's what life is real. And that's what we need to
Yeah.
That's right.
deplete when we
Right.
have these discussions. We need to show real things, have
Right.
real conversations, and not just what oh well, everything is good, and we making six figures, and we didn't. No, let's talk about real life and what's really going on out there. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Right. Because yeah, you're making six figures, but you're suffering from depression.
Come on.
Yeah,
That part.
exactly.
So,
That
so
part.
Yeah.
and that's why I wanted to
Girl, you
have
about
this.
to
And this
give
is
us a
not
whole
going.
nother hour.
I know. I'm like,
That's another
I'm
talk.
not gonna open up that can of worms, but I just wanted to say that, because that's one of the reasons why I felt so strongly about having roundtable discussions. So this won't be the last one because people need realness, right?
Right.
People are struggling. They're in a place and they're wanting to heal, but don't know how.
Yeah.
So if we've all gone through this process or still going through, why not share out and be real and be truthful about what it looks like? That way, when we sit before people and share our experiences and have these roundtable discussions, they know that they're not alone, and like, oh well, it is normal that I felt rage and I was angry for so long. That's what this is about, because if
Yes.
we keep hiding and not being willing to share our stories, and I mean share it and tell the truth, then what are we doing it for? It's like, what's the purpose? Because we're not helping anybody. The
That's
things
right.
that we overcome, the things that we make it through, is for us to then reach back and help others. And we
That's
can't
right.
do that if we're not willing to tell the truth and share our stories.
That's
So,
right.
thank you, ladies, so much for just joining me in this conversation. Thank you to the women that showed up in the community today for to just support us and just engage in this conversation. We definitely appreciate each of you being here because we know you could have been anywhere else, but you chose to spend your time here with us, and we are so grateful for that. We certainly appreciate it. As you guys heard, this is part one. So we will definitely be coming back. We're going to coordinate our schedule so that we can come back to the roundtable again, to continue our conversation on forgiveness. And, you guys feel free to throw other topics out there that, you feel need to be discussed. And there's the community is so full of wonderful people, amazing, phenomenal women that has gone through different things. So if it's something that you guys want to discuss and we have not gone through it, guess what? We can bring on the ones who have.
That
Yes.
part.
That's the beauty of having all of us in a community together. So again, just feel free to put in the comments, or you can inbox if you don't feel comfortable dropping it in the comments, a topic that you would like to see us do a roundtable discussion on, and we will definitely make that happen. So stay tuned for the flyer. We'll be making posts when we're coming back. Thank you, ladies, so much. I know you guys have a busy day. Enjoy the rest of your day, ladies, and have a great weekend. All bets on me, queens. See you guys next time, and thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
See ya. Thanks, sis.
No problem.